Hello everyone. Today's topic is plasmids. Myself, Dr. A. Madhuri, Assistant Professor of Microbiology from Government Degree College for Women, Begumpet. The term plasmid was introduced by American molecular biologist that is Joshua Lederberg in 1952. Joshua Lederberg was an American and he worked in genetics, artificial intelligence, and space exploration. He won Nobel Prize for his work in physiology or medicine for the discovering of bacteria which can mate and exchange genes, that is conjugation. And he shared this prize with Edward Tatum and George Beadle, who won for their work with genetics. So basically, term plasmid was given by Joshua Lederberg. Now let us understand what is plasmid. A plasmid is a DNA molecule that is separate from and replicate independently of the chromosomal DNA. So till now we have understood what is chromosomal DNA. It is the main genetic material which is present in the cell. Right. But what is plasmid? It is the extra chromosomal genetic element. Means it is separate entity from the main chromosome or main DNA molecule, and it has the ability to replicate independently. And plasmids are double-stranded and in many cases circular. So as DNA is double-stranded, these plasmids are also double-stranded, and many cases they are circular in nature. They usually occur naturally in bacteria, but sometimes they are also found in eukaryotic organisms. So mostly they are seen in prokaryotes, that is bacteria, but sometimes rarely they are also found in yeast, that is eukaryotic organism. Example, Saccharomyces cerevisiae. The 2 micrometer ring was observed in Saccharomyces cerevisiae, that is yeast. Basic understanding of the plasmid. So what this plasmid is doing? What is the purpose of this plasmid? It is a vehicle that can carry artificially inserted DNA. So how it is helpful for us is it can carry the genes which we can insert into this plasmid, and it will replicate in E. coli, and with its own replication it will also replicate the inserted DNA independent of its origin. So talking about genetic engineering, all the entire genetic engineering is based on the plasmids, because the new genes which we want to insert into the organisms are carried by the plasmids, and whenever we insert a new foreign gene into the plasmid, when we insert this plasmid into an E. coli, this plasmid will replicate, and it will generate more copies of the gene which we have inserted in the plasmid. Right. So in one way, one can see a plasmid as a minute DNA factory. So we can call it as a minute DNA factory, because whatever gene we have inserted into the plasmid, that gene will be multiplied many times or copied many times or replicated many times by this plasmid. The main criteria for a good plasmid is that it takes up the insert you want to put in, and that it replicates in sufficient amounts that it does not destroy your insert during the process. So when we can call a plasmid as a good plasmid, or when this plasmid is able to take up the gene or take up the insert which you have put it into that plasmid, and when it will easily replicate that gene sequence which we have inserted and make a number of copies. So plasmids are basically, they are the vehicles which can carry the genes, which can carry artificially inserted DNA, and they can make more copies. Now here we can see the structure of a plasmid. Um, it is somewhat resembling this, and every plasmid will have, usually it is a circular piece, right? This is circular. Autonomously replicating DNA means it is not depending on any other chromosome. It is not depending on the main chromosome of the DNA for its replication. It can, whatever sequences are required for its replication, everything this plasmid is having, right? And originally evolved by the bacteria. Basically, it was first seen in the bacteria and may express antibiotic resistance gene or be modified to express proteins of interest. Here, before this, we can see this sequence ORI. ORI is usually in E. coli plasmid, we call this as a ORI-C. This ORI sequence is the origin of replication. So this sequence is must for the plasmid for start of replication. And this sequence, it may contain some, carry some antibiotic resistance genes. Means um, antibiotic is something which we use for the treatment, or if you break this word, antibio means, anti means against, bio means life, means in other words antibiotic is something which we use to kill the pathogens or to kill the infectious agents, right? So such antibiotic resistance genes, antibiotic resistance means here it is synthesizing something which gives resistance for the bacteria against antibiotics. Okay, so wherever this plasmid is present, in whichever cell it is present, it will give that cell the resistance towards some antibiotics. So that is called as antibiotic resistance gene, or be modified to express proteins of interest. We can insert some gene of interest which can synthesize proteins of our interest. So whatever protein, for example, insulin, if you want to produce in large quantities, if we can take the gene of insulin and if we insert into this plasmid, this plasmid will replicate and make more number of copies of the gene, and if it gets expressed, that insulin protein can be found in many copies in that cell. Now this is the bacteria, this is the main chromosome, and these are the plasmids. Plasmids are small circular pieces of DNA which are having more or less 5,000 base pairs. And here, this is the main chromosome. This is also a circular chromosome having this many base pairs, which approximates about 1.3 millimeters. Here you can see this is the main chromosome. In this slide, we can see this is the host genome, and these are the plasmids, small circular molecules, DNA molecules. These are the plasmids, and this is the E. coli cell. So plasmids are molecules that are found in bacteria, separate from bacterial chromosomes. So they are separate and they are small. A few thousand base pairs usually carry one or few genes or span. Circular have a single origin of replication. We have seen in the previous slide origin of replication, from where the replication will be started. Next is multiplication of plasmids. How the plasmids are multiplying. They are replicated by same machinery that replicates the bacterial chromosome. As the DNA of bacteria, that is a bacterial chromosome, is dividing, similarly plasmids will also divide. Some plasmids are copied at about the same rate as the chromosome. Say a single cell is apt to have only a single copy. Other plasmids are copied at a high rate and a single cell may have 50 or more of them. So copy number, we can call the plasmid number as another term for this plasmid number is also called as copy number. Here we can see that few cells are having single plasmid and single bacterial genome. Anyhow, bacterial genome will be single only. So in some in some cells, the replication of the plasmid is happening along with the bacterial chromosome. It doesn't mean it is dependent on the bacterial chromosome, but it is dividing whenever the bacterial main chromosome is dividing. So that is the reason few cells will have only single plasmid. Coming to other type of cells where plasmids are replicating at a faster rate, and they are able to generate more copies of this plasmid. For example, it is able to make around 50 or more copies of plasmids. Plasmid enters the bacteria with ease. So again, we are back to rDNA technology. So these plasmid enter the bacterial cell with relative ease. This occurs in nature and may account for the rapid spread of antibiotic resistance in hospitals and elsewhere. So there is nowadays there is a bigger problem of spread of this antibiotic resistance. So how this antibiotic resistance is being spread? Mm, First of all, we have understood what is antibiotic resistance. It is nothing but antibiotics are the medicines which we are using for treating our infections and health problems. But antibiotic resistance is something which is making this antibiotic inactive, or in other words, these antibiotics first around 1950s, penicillin was more effective. Second World War time, penicillin was more effective, and it was used to cure many infections. But now penicillin is not effective for any therapeutic purpose. Why is this happening? Because there is a rapid spread of penicillin resistance genes in the microorganisms. Okay, so when these antibiotic resistance genes are spreading in the bacteria or in the microorganisms, then they are gaining some resistance towards that antibiotic. So when these microbes are causing some infection in our body, and when we are giving some antibiotic to that to cure that infection, definitely when these cells are having that resistance gene, they will resist this antibiotic and infection is not being cured. So that is a major problem which is faced by health sector nowadays. And so as we have said, this plasmid can be easily transferred from one bacteria to another bacteria. That is why this antibiotic resistance is being spread in hospitals and other areas now. Plasmids can be deliberately introduced into bacteria in the laboratory, transforming the cell with the incoming genes. Now, this is naturally in the nature, there is a mechanism of plasmid transfer from one bacteria to another bacteria. But now in the lab, we want to insert some plasmid into a particular cell. So how this can be done, we can know in the later slides, but we have to make the plasmid to enter into the cell. So these are the self-replicating extrachromosomal DNA molecules of definite size. They are stably inherited and exchanged promiscuously between a broad spectrum of bacteria and other domains. Okay, they are stable molecules. There is no kind of mutation and anything here. They are replicating on their own, and they are stably passed from one generation to another generation. Plasmids allow bacterial population to sample the horizontal gene pool for adaptive traits that might be advantageous for survival under local selective pressure. So these plasmids, they will also have some selective genes which help that particular population to survive in that area under a particular pressure. They provide genetic variation, acts as a sources of recombination, and can allow faster gene fixation, leading to greater likelihood that new trait will persist. Again, it is a kind of adaptation which is being seen in bacteria due to new genes in the plasmids. Next, plasmid classification is based on incompatibility group determined by their replication or partitioning functions or the genetic information specified by their DNA. Incompatibility grouping had been used to group plasmid of Pseudomonas species and the Enterobacteriaceae into 26 incompatibility groups. Plasmids, whether they are compatible or incompatible with each other, on this basis we can classify them into different types. Most plasmids have narrow host range, allowing only intraspecies transfer and replication. However, a small group of plasmids called the broad host range plasmids can be transferred and replicated in a wide range of bacteria. BHR plasmids may either be self-transmissible or mobilizable, but not self-transmissible. So these plasmids, they are some of the plasmids have narrow host range. Narrow means very less number. Host means the bacteria into which it is entering, right? So some plasmids are able to enter into some of the bacteria, mostly interspecies transfer will be there, and some plasmids are showing broad range, broad host range, right? BHR, such plasmids are called as BHR plasmids, where they can infect many number of bacteria, or they enter into many number of bacteria, many types of bacteria. They are called as broad host range plasmids or BHR plasmids. Examples are PQWNC. All these plasmids are BHR plasmids, and they can be either be self-transmissible, means they can go on their own into another cell, or mobilizable but not self-transmissible. They can be made to enter into other cells by some lab methods. So prokaryotes were initially thought to harbor only circular plasmids. However, with the discovery of double-stranded linear plasmids in spirochete that cause Lyme disease, Borrelia burgdorferi, linear plasmids have also been detected in the genera Streptomyces, Mycobacterium, Rhodococcus, and Arthrobacter. So till now we have seen that prokaryotes or the plasmids are circular molecules, but later linear molecules were also isolated from different organisms such as Mycobacterium, Rhodococcus, Borrelia burgdorferi, etc. Here in this slide we can see that many bacteria have accessory DNA molecules in addition to their larger chromosome, right? Here we can see origin of replication. This is the origin of replication, and this is the gene for ampicillin resistance. Okay, this is for ampicillin resistance, and they are and others are other genes responsible for other functions. They have multiple restriction enzyme sites to enable cutting and pasting of DNA into a plasmid. So these are restriction enzyme sites. What is restriction enzyme? Restriction enzymes are, in other words, they are called as molecular scissors. Like we cut a cloth with a scissor, these restriction enzymes are acting as a scissor, and we can cut on the plasmid on a restricted site at a particular site, or at a specific site. If this be for every restriction site, there will be different restriction enzymes. So what is the role of this restriction enzyme is we have to cut a plasmid at a particular restriction site, and we have to insert the new gene of our interest into the plasmid. Now what is the role of plasmids in antibiotic resistance? Here in this picture we can see different types of gene transfer mechanism, and this is transformation, and this is conjugation, and the last one is transduction, right? So whatever be the mechanism, what is happening here in these three mechanisms is some genes are getting transferred from one cell to another cell. Okay, so coming to the transformation, if a plasmid, if this bacterium is have the ability to take up the plasmid from the surroundings, right? Not from the cell, from the surrounding environment into the cell. Then this process will be called as transformation. You can see here it is a dead bacterium, and it has undergone the lysis. The plasmid has come out. So that plasmid which has come out is being taken up by this cell, or this gene is taken up by this cell, that is cell transformation. And here coming to conjugation. Conjugation is done by conjugation tube, where a part of the genes can be transferred from one cell to another cell. This is the donor cell and this is the recipient cell, where a plasmid is getting transferred from donor cell into the recipient cell. And this is the transduction. Transduction is the transfer of genetic material from one cell to another cell through bacteriophages. Okay, so what are these bacteriophages? Bacteriophages are the viruses which are infecting the bacteria, right? Bacteriophages are the viruses which are infecting the bacteria. So what is happening in transduction is, when this virus is infecting this bacteria, after entering into the bacterial cell, the viral genome will take control of the bacterial genome and make the bacterial cell to synthesize viral particles. Okay, so after the infection with the bacteriophage, the bacterial cell will become a factory for the synthesis of viral particles, because the control will be taken up by the virus, and it wants that bacteria to synthesize virus particles but not the bacterial proteins, right? So viral particles will be synthesized. After this, cell will be lysed and it will go and infect another cell. So during this formation of viral particles inside the bacteria, that is factory of bacteria where viral particles are being synthesized, different segments of um, viral genome will be synthesized and protein code will be synthesized. So then after assembly will be done. So during all these processes, by mistake, some of the bacterial genes which were lysed by the virus can enter into some of the viruses by mistake. Okay, so this virus, by after taking the bacterial genome from this cell, if it infects another bacteria, fresh bacteria, and when it inserts the bacterial genes into the new bacteria, this transfer of genes from one bacteria to another bacteria through bacteriophage is called as transduction. So these are all the mechanisms for gene transfer, and most plasmids have one or two identifiable markers that give a distinct phenotype to the bacterial cell. So these plasmids will have markers by which we can identify the bacteria. Examples of such markers include antibiotic resistance, expression of an enzyme that catalyzes a reaction that produces a color change. Okay, so how to identify? Now, the main question is, we have carried out the transfer of our desired gene into the plasmid, and we have inserted that plasmid. So plasmids and ampicillin resistance. Uh, Here in this slide we can see that this is the plasmid, double-stranded plasmid, and this is the ampicillin resistance gene. As we have discussed the previous slides, ampicillin is also an antibiotic, and R shows the resistance for antibiotic, that is ampicillin. And this gene confers resistance to antibiotic ampicillin, and E. coli cells containing this plasmid term are called as A plus AMPR cells that can survive and form colonies on healthy agar that has been supplemented with ampicillin. In contrast, cells lacking ampicillin resistance plasmid termed minus AMPR cells and sensitive to antibiotic which kills them. An ampicillin sensitive cell can be transformed to an ampicillin resistant cell by its uptake of foreign plasmid containing the ampicillin resistance gene. Here in this slide we can understand that how to denote the plasmid which is having this gene. Okay, it is denoted as plus AMP, that is stands for ampicillin, R stands for resistance. These are the this is the denotion for plasmids containing ampicillin resistance gene, and the plasmids which are lacking this ampicillin resistance gene are termed as minus AMPR cells. Okay, so these minus AMPR cells can be converted into plus AMPR cells by uptake of plasmids containing this ampicillin resistance gene. And what is the significance of this antibiotic resistance gene or ampicillin resistant gene in the plasmid? When a plasmid is having this antibiotic resistance gene or ampicillin resistant gene, we can select these cells by growing on luria broth or nutrient agar containing ampicillin. Okay, so when the media consists of an antibiotic, right, and when these cells are having this ampicillin resistance gene, as it is showing resistance to ampicillin, it can grow on the media having this particular antibiotic, right? If the cells are lacking this plasmid, they cannot grow because they cannot resist the antibiotic which is present in the media, and they will certainly die. So presence of this ampicillin resistance gene will help in selecting the cells which have got transformed successfully, or which have taken up this ampicillin resistance gene containing plasmids successfully from the pool. So in microbiology, these plasmids, they are present in many bacterial strains, and as we have seen, they are circular molecules. They are not essential for the bacterium but may confer a selective advantage. Okay, so in what way these plasmids are helping the microorganisms? They are giving some added advantage for the survival of the microorganism. One example we have just now seen, the production of the having this antibiotic resistance gene, and the second one is presence of col factors or cholinogenic factors. Okay, they are having col plasmids or cholinogenic factors. It determines the production of proteins called as colicins, which have antibiotic activity and can kill other bacteria. Like just now we have seen ampicillin. So similarly, colicinogen or colicins, they are of proteins which show some antibiotic activity, which help to kill other cells. Okay, so another class of plasmids, they are showing R factors or resistance factors. They give resistance to antibiotics, and some call factors and R factors can transfer themselves from. So these plasmids, they can get transferred from one cell to another, and transforms the population, bacterial population, so that they can survive in a particular kind of environment. A plasmid that is attached to the cell membrane or integrated into the bacterial chromosome is called an episome. Okay, a plasmid which is integrated into the bacterial chromosome is called as an episome. Now, coming to the role of plasmids in genetic engineering, plasmids are extremely valuable tools in the field of micromolecular biology. As I told you, this genetic engineering concept started with the help of plasmids only. So these are important tools in the field of molecular biology, genetics, and specifically in the area of genetic engineering. They play a critical role in such procedures as gene cloning, recombinant DNA production, human insulin, and gene therapy. Okay, so what is gene cloning? Gene cloning means making, clone means copy. Okay, making the many copies of a particular gene. This can be done by using this genetic engineering. And recombinant protein production, example insulin, protein insulin production was also done by this genetic engineering by inserting the insulin gene in a bacteria, and production in larger quantity. And then gene therapy, gene means gene, and therapy means treatment. So it is the treatment at a genetic level. So in all these fields, the plasmids are playing a very important role. In such procedures, is plasmid is cut into a specific site, cut at a specific site using enzymes called as restriction endonucleases, as we have discussed in the previous slides. It will be cut at a restriction site, at a particular site by restriction endonucleases, and then desired gene will be inserted. Okay, so this is the origin of replication. From here the replication will start. Now coming to the size of the plasmids, it may vary from 1 kilobase to 1000 kilobase pairs. The number of identical plasmids within a single cell can range anywhere from 1 to even thousands under some circumstances. So number of plasmids, it can be 1 to 1000, and the size of the plasmid will be from 1 kb to 1000 kilobase pairs. They can be considered to be part of mobilosome. So they are often associated with conjugation and mechanism of horizontal gene transfer. So they are called as mobilosome because they are mobilizing between bacterial cells. They are moving from one bacteria to another bacteria by a process called as conjugation. This TN means transposons. So sometimes these transposons can also become part of plasmids. This like here plasmids are used as a vectors. Vector is nothing but a carrying vehicle. It is a vehicle for carrying a particular gene. Here you can see this is the promoter, and this is the origin, and this is the ampicillin resistance gene. And here eco-R1 multiple clone site in 3. These are the restriction sites which can cut, and lag Z. This is the gene and present for lacoperon and lac-I. Lacoperon genes are there. Lac-Z gene for alpha peptide and beta galactoside. Specialized E. coli used contains remaining portion. So these genes are of lacoperon, which are inserted into this VUC19 plasmid. And growth is independent of the host cell cycle, whether the host normal the cell which is containing the plasmid, whether it divides or not, the plasmid can divide, and amplification of gene product can happen. Means the gene which is inserted, the number of copies of that particular gene will be increased. A type of cloning vector used to carry a gene not found in the bacterial host chromosome. Now, varieties of plasmids based on structure. So based on the structure also, different plasmids are there. One type is called E1 circular plasmid. In this call even plasmid, immunity IMM genes for production of and immunity to colicin E1, MOB codes for nucleus required for mobilization, ROM codes for protein required for effective control of copy number, ORET origin of conjugational transfer, or origin of replication. So all these are the genes which are present on the plasmid. Again revising once again, this called E1, it is for maintaining of circular plasmid, and IMM, these are genes for production of colicin E1, MOB for mobile or for transferring of these plasmids from one bacteria to another bacteria, ROM codes for protein required for maintaining the copy number, or it is origin of conjugational transfer, means whenever conjugation is happening, the plasmid cut will start moving from this site into the another bacterial cell, and only or is origin of replication. So these plasmids are considered as transferable genetic elements or replicons. As we know, so plasmids are considered as transferable genetic elements or replicons. and they are capable of autonomous replication within a suitable host. Means they can undergo replication, and they can be found in all three major domains, that is archaebacteria and eubacteria. It is found that they are present in all the organisms, including archaebacteria. Archaea means old bacteria, and then normal bacteria, and then eukaryotic eukaryotic organisms also. We are able to see these plasmids. Similar to viruses, plasmids are not considered a form of life. Means viruses are not living organisms. Similarly, plasmids are also not considered as living entities, and plasmids are defined as naked DNA and do not encode genes necessary to encase the genetic material for transfer to a new host. Means it is not complete entity to make out the survival of the cell, and though some classes of plasmids encode the sex pillars necessary for their own transfer. In conjugation, we can see some cells are forming conjugation tube. This formation of conjugation tube, the genes responsible for this conjugation tube formation are present on plasmids. Plasmids are key vectors of horizontal gene transfer and essential genetic engineering tools. Okay, as we have discussed, they can be transferred from one cell to another cell. It is called as horizontal gene transfer. They code for genes involved in many aspects of microbial biology, including detoxification, virulence, ecological interactions, and antibiotic resistance. So they are responsible for major functions in the nature, such as detoxification. Means they can carry the genes which can mm, degrade the toxic materials, and virulence. They can have genes responsible for virulence, such as for synthesis of polysaccharide or a capsule around the cell, which can confer this pathogenicity to the cell, and other factors also responsible. And then ecological interactions in nature for degradation of like carrying out of this elemental cycle. Some genes which are present on the plasmids are responsible, and the last one is antibiotic resistance, which we have discussed previously. Now, plasmids originated several drug resistance mechanisms. Here, the role of plasmids in evolution of bacterial genome and adaptation to specific environmental changes has contributed immensely to the emergence of antibiotic and heavy metal resistance plasmids. Here, the role of evolution means whenever there is a problem in the environment, the microorganisms will evolve themselves. Likewise, the genes which are present on the plasmids have also evolved and contributed immensely to the convergence of antibiotic resistance and um, heavy metal resistance for the plasmids. This feat is aided by the activities of transposons, which promote the movement of resistance genes between plasmids or from chromosome of naturally resistant organism onto a plasmid. So we have seen that here transposons are also playing a role in giving resistance uh, for the plasmids, and they can be resistant to various antibiotics either by acquisition of several independent plasmids or through acquiring a single plasmid with many resistance determinant on it. So a bacteria can show antibiotic resistance to a particular antibiotic or many antibiotics together. Based on function, Pumping of the toxic metal out of the bacterial cell, bioaccumulation, physiologically inaccessible compound, and redox chemistry in which a more toxic ion species is converted to a less toxic ion. So here plasmids are playing a role in relieving the toxic materials from the environment or from the cell. And plasmid mediated mercury, arsenic, cadmium, and chromate resistance have been reported for gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria with various mechanisms of resistance. So we have also seen some heavy metal resistance patterns due to presence of this plasmidism of the organisms. Now, this is the genetic map of E. coli. Here we can see this F factor or a plasmid showing four major regions. The INC REP regions determines replication and plasmid incompatibility properties. And tries for transfer. This is the TN is a transposon, and these are for replication and plasmid incompatibility. Expression vectors. These plasmids are used for expression of a particular gene. This is the plasmid insertion gene for antibiotic resistance has been inserted foreign DNA with gene of interest, cutting sites for endonuclease. So this is the gene. Here this much is the gene, this is the actual gene of interest, and these are the sites for restriction endonucleases. So it has been cut by restriction endonucleases, and the same restriction endonucleases are also made to cut this plasmid, generating sticky ends. Sticky ends are nothing but unequal ends, and then the plasmid is made to ligate with this foreign DNA, forming a desired recombinant plasmid. And then this plasmid is introduced into the bacteria, and this bacteria, whenever it divides, the plasmid will also divide. Sometimes the plasmid will divide irrespective of the bacterial division. So these genes which are present here on the recombinant plasmid, they can express themselves, means they can undergo transcription and translation, and they can synthesize some proteins. So such vectors are called as expression vectors. Varieties of plasmids based on functions. So these are the plasmids, and this is the phenotype. These plasmids are showing resistance. This is kanamycin resistance. This is tetracycline resistance. This is ampicillin resistance. This is broad host range. So see, this is the plasmid, and these are the characters given for this plasmids. In some plasmids, sex pheromones are also there. So these pheromones are chemicals used for signaling between two or more individuals, which signals for conjugation. They are confined to the enterococcus and encode antibiotic resistance gene, bacteriocins, and hemolysins. So pheromones are secreted by some plasmids, which signals for conjugation. In novel transfer system, recipients shall secrete a family of heat stable peptide pheromones with specificities for donor carrying various conjugative plasmids that trigger response from donor bacteria harboring a particular plasmid. Here, these plasmids are secreting some heat stable peptide pheromones. Examples are PAD1, hemolysin, etc. Next, senescence plasmids in fungi. Senescence means aging. The plasmids are seen in fungi. Here, senescence is an inherent degenerative program in multicellular organism that is manifested by a progressive decline in cellular energy production, culminating in the death of a part or a whole organism. So, senescence, in short, it is called as aging. This aging can be seen in fungi due to presence of some plasmids which are responsible for giving that characters to the cell. This phenomenon was found to be associated with accumulation of high copy number of circular plasmids and DNAs are present. So more number of circular plasmids and DNAs are will accumulate in the cell and result in senescence or death of the fungus. And the mitochondrial based linear plasmids from Neurospora were also found to be responsible for death of the strains harboring them by insertion of the DNA into the mitochondrial genome, resulting in disruption of several genes leading to the senescence and death. So this is one of the new concept in the field of plasmids where this senescence has been observed. It is being utilized for clinical purposes. Like this, when these plasmids are inserted, it will result in the death of the organism. So in 1973, genetic engineering has been invented. This is the cloning design. This is the source DNA. This is the target gene. Here, this target gene is inserted at this site. This is the digester fragments. Target gene can go and sit there, having the marker. This is the marker. Here, DNA ligase will see in the ends. So this is the recombinant plasmid. This recombinant plasmid will enter into this E. coli. And how a cell can be made competent by giving some calcium ions. A cell can be made competent. Um, a cell becoming a competent means it is able to accept the plasmids from outer environment. So this is the transformation. It has taken this plasmid from outside. So they are having antibiotic resistance genes. With this, we can select the cells. Here we can see this experiment where organisms are showing resistance to antibiotics. We can also engineer plasmids according to our selective needs, whatever it must have some essential sequences. Later on, we can insert whatever sequences we need into the plasmid. So plasmid-based expression systems are also tried in mammalian cells. So this I'm ending this presentation. Hope you understood. Thank you.